Hey folks, this is another announcement video related to Nobunaga's Ambition Taishi. The charity stream is over. The donations are probably more or less done. If anybody still wants to make a donation and alert Zerfall that they want to be involved in this LP, you've got a little bit of time left. The purpose of this announcement video is to go through the characters I've made, to call out the people who have donated enough to be in the LP but haven't submitted a character, just to give them a chance if they want to do it. And also to announce that the last date I'm going to accept any submissions is, I'm recording this on the 4th, probably won't be online until the 5th, but you have until Wednesday, September the 9th. Wednesday, September the 9th, because I'm going to make my characters. I'm vaguely trying to have this LP started by the weekend of the 12th and the 13th. That might not be possible, but my current Final Fantasy VIII LP ends this weekend, the 5th and the 6th. So the 12th and the 13th, if I can be ready to record my first videos of the series, that would be the earliest I could get this LP rolling. And for that reason, I'm giving you guys a little less time than I would have meant to. You've got, and probably this will be public on Saturday, and you've got until Wednesday, so you've really got 5 days. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you got about 5 days to submit a character if you want one in the LP. First thing I'm going to do is read off the usernames of people who donated. Some of you mentioned this in your donation message, as I asked. Some of you did not. So for those of you who didn't, you're probably not seeing this. You're probably not interested. I'm just throwing out your names in case you want to submit a character. Some of you guys was expecting a character, and you donated enough money. Oh, and I should let you know the donation site is going to be in the description. And it was $120, and that's Canadian dollars. Somebody pointed out that's really only about $85 American. Most of my viewership is American, not all, but I got more Americans than non-Americans overall probably viewing my stuff, and some Europeans, Canadians, but I might have a couple of viewers in Australia as well. But yeah, my point I'm trying to get to here, slowly but surely, it's $120 Canadian, but it's about 80 something, 90 something. About 85, I think, dollars US. We'll get you a character if you want one, and you haven't already donated. But if you do donate, mention in your message that Zerf will receive your gift message that it's to get in the LP, and that'll make it more likely that he gets back to me in time for you to be included. And if you submit a character in this video or the previous video, if you submit it and you mention your late donation, I'll make sure to check with Zerfall and confirm that you submitted. Anyway, that you donated rather. So, All Dragon has donated and said he wanted a character. He has not submitted one yet. I already reached out to him, so that should be on the way. Tolpanzer, you donated enough. You didn't say specifically you wanted to be in this LP, but you've been in past LPs, so if you want to submit a character, do it in the next couple of days. Putaro is another one. He actually mentioned he wanted to get in on this, and he's been in these in the past, but right now I'm not seeing a donation or a submission for a character from you. So maybe I'm confused, but I didn't see one. I never know how to pronounce this. Mattias Graven. He said Bobo earned his donation, but I think I've had characters from you in the past, and you donated enough, so you can have a character if you get in there. Laxstoties. You don't have a message at all, but you donated enough money. Same goes for Eccentric AU. Fatal Alex, who I think may have had characters in the past. I don't remember. He submitted enough. He donated enough. He didn't mention he didn't mention this LP, and he hasn't submitted a character. But Fatal Alex, if you're listening and you want a character, move quickly. Baneri, same deal. Submitted more than or donated more than enough. Very generous donation from Boneri, Fatal Alex, and some of the others as well. Lethal Feline, I already reached out to. I don't know whether he'll participate in this one or not. He hasn't had the time. He's got too much of his own stuff going on to watch the previous series. And very generous donation from him. And although he's already submitted his character, I'd just like to point out Shaman with an extremely generous donation this year. So thank you so much, Shaman. Your character is in. And now the next part of this video is going to be me going through the characters that have been created to give people a chance to correct any mistakes. Some of you left out things, and I just filled in something. Most of the time that was leaving out something like I think one person didn't mention specifically a God, what was it they left out? Well, we'll get in there and see. So, I had to fix my character because I made some changes on screen to get me down to 375, and then they didn't save. So, for a while, I was more powerful than anybody else, and I've corrected myself down. He didn't submit a character, but I went ahead and made one for him. Fall Uncle Baldo Zur. His resolve is North Star because he's from Canada, so what else could he be but the North Star? And I think it's resolve. Some of you didn't bother to submit one because, as I mentioned, it won't actually do anything. But I picked something for you. And then I think at least one person forgot to mention their ideal. But they said rebellion and then a number, which I figured they meant for rebellious, but I gave that person an ideal of rebellious. So there's really 3 characters that I made without even checking with them. Well, no, then Zerfall knew I was making care for him, but I made characters for Vulture Bobo and Vulture Bean. Neither of them submitted. I doubt either of them will have time to watch the series, what with raising Little Bronco, but I like having family with me when I Let's Play. And there's been a little problems in the family soon, but the family will come together at SummerSlam. That was for Bobo, who, as I just mentioned, is probably not going to be able to have time to watch this. So yeah, Zerfall, your dream, your resolve is North Star. You are a male who talks like a...
I swear I will achieve my resolve.
You talk like a genius. I didn't have Black Devil Baraba voice to give you. Your ideal is talent. So are Bobo and Bean. I didn't bother to look up at their previous ideals, where I just gave us all talent, so if we end up at the same city, we'll get along with each other. Because my ideal was talent. Your abilities are... You're not as terrible at war as I figured you would be, but I was generous enough with the points that nobody's really terrible at anything unless they really set out to be. But you are mostly... You're not as intelligent as I am, because I'm 90, so I made you 85, so I could be smarter than you. But your pull and your formality is very high. Formality was the one thing I was definitely going to make you 100 at, because you're the master of the teeth ceremony. How could you not be an expert in formality? And anyway, you're educated, you are a talented emissary, an alliance leader, an imperial connections, fickle and peaceful negotiator. All of those are skills that relate to negotiation, because that was the main thing that formality does for you. And I gave you Dishearten, 6th Demon King, Phantom, and Lure Provocation, but it doesn't matter because with stats as at 40, stats less than 50 for war, and a lot of other characters with stats up near 100, you're probably not going to be seeing a lot of combat. You will be 20 years old at the Battle of Takagi River. Oh, and I should mention that the scenario we're doing is Battle at Takagi River. Let me back out of here for a second. So if it affects anybody's decision-making progress, we are going to be doing Battle of Takagi River scenario, which is before... It's after the Battle of Nagashino. So, Nobunaga has seriously weakened, but not quite finished off the Takeda, and has established himself as probably the most significant power. The Mori look very big on the map, but Nobunaga and the Hojo are really the 2 great powers right now. The Uesugi, Takeda are kind of on their last legs, despite having a lot of territory left. The Uesugi are probably the main threat to Nobunaga right now. But he is 5 years away from being assassinated by Mitsuhide. So this is kind of his high water mark. But it is also... There's a lot of... We could have gone back to a very early scenario, given us plenty of time to get a good start going. As a matter of fact, if I was interested primarily in winning only and not as worried about seeing events, I would start us as early as possible to maximize the time we have to take over before anyone else becomes powerful. Because you got some forces here, like the Hojo are pretty strong. But when we come down here, we're going to be like, at best, the 7th or 8th most powerful clan. And we're not even the most powerful clan on Kyushu. But this is the one that actually... I think it's a DLC scenario. I don't even remember. I grabbed the DLC scenarios. They were like $1 each. $2, $3, something like that. But yeah, this is the battle where you're actually recommended to play as the Shimazu. So I think it's going to have the most scenarios. It represents the Shimazu's big push to take over Kyushu. Historically, the Shimazu were unable to conquer Kyushu. They more or less take over Kyushu, but their primary rivals, who will be our main worry at the beginning of this scenario. Let me see if I can find their leader. I'll recognize him when I see him in the portraits. Yeah, so their prime rival are the Otomo. And as we come close to conquering Kyushu in history, as the Shimazu were conquering Kyushu, the Otomo, who had been the most powerful clan on Kyushu and are clearly in over their heads and about to fall at that point, call upon Hideyoshi for aid. This is after Hideyoshi has dispatched Mitsuhide and Katsuie Shibata and has basically taken over what was left of the Oda forces. He defeats the Mori. He's conquered pretty much all of western... what's the name of the main island? Honshu. And he's the most powerful lord in the land. And one of the last groups to still resist him, other than the Hojo, are us, the Shimazu, who've taken over most of Kyushu, but we weren't quite fast enough. And now we've got an army that's already taken over half of the mainland of Japan. Comes in theory, it's to help the Otomo, but they're basically invited in and they just conquer the whole land. So that's the scenario we're playing. We need to move a little faster than the Shimazu did, but this is the big scenario where the Shimazu are really starting to make noise and expand. So it's a good one for us to play. We just need to be aggressive and get strong enough that we can actually hold off Hideyoshi. And in this scenario, Nobunaga's still around. So if historical events play out weird, or the Mori put up a better resistance against Hideyoshi, or Hideyoshi doesn't even manage to take over central Japan, we could be in an excellent position to take over. Anyway, back to the officers. Sorry about that. That's not... I'm giving you guys a little background of the scenario in case it affects anything, but we are primarily here now to go through the officers. So Uncle Baldo, I already kind of showed you, and Zerfall passed on creating a character, but he still wanted to be in because of this awesome portrait. And I was going to pull him in anyway, whether he liked it or not, because it's his donation, or it's his charity event. Vulture Bobo. Vulture Bobo did not submit a character. I just kind of made someone similar to his characters in previous LPs. He is into armed unification. He has the brave voice.
I will not die before I fulfill my resolve.
He's got a low rebellious and his idealist talent so that we will get along if we're in the same place. Vulture Bobo, Vulture Bean, and myself are the only characters who were given relatives. Bobo is related to me. I am related to Bobo, and Bean is related to Bobo. And I believe if you go in and look at my character, or rather when I looked at him, not in this screen, but in the actual game, Bean and I are shown as related to each other. It doesn't really get into the specifics. Actually, no, you have father. You can come up with a father, and you can come up with a relative. You can't really have people married right out of the gate, it looks like. Which means making Bean a relative might mean he can't get married to Bobo, but whatever, not really all that worried about it. So Bobo will be age 20 at the beginning of the scenario, and his abilities are all about war. 90 intelligence. He's actually smarter than Zerfall, but intelligence is primarily a military stat. And he's not very good at diplomacy or politics. But he's got all skills that are related to... I gave him Ninja Scouts instead of the speed one that a lot of people gave themselves, so he'll be a little slower, but he'll be able to see. He's got Ogre Shibata, Victory Cry, Full Charge, Rush Main Camp. He is primarily a military dude. He should be super effective. We will see. Vulture Bean, on the other hand... Clan Longevity, because I gave him a military-themed one, but as a mother, I'm sure that Vulture Bean is concerned about making sure that the family comes together at SummerSlam. And her character, she has a gentle princess voice.
I will fulfill my resolve.
She likes talent. She has talent. Her war stats are pretty low. She's really good at everything else. 90 intelligence. Everybody ended up being smarter than Zerfall. I didn't really do that by design, but Zerfall with an intelligence of 85 is the dumbest of the characters that I just made myself. All of her stuff is related to mostly planning and economy and trade. She has Concentrate, Kai Tiger, Woodpecker, I should say, and Lure Provocation. None of those are likely to mean anything. She will also be 20 at the beginning of the scenario. I gave everybody a lifespan of 110 unless they specifically said not to, which I think one person did. Master Miller. Brawn and Brain. His character is a regional hero voice with a male. He's a male, rather. His mastery is his ideal. Rebelliousness set at 7. 100 leadership, 90 valor, 100 intelligence. I don't know if he will be using that intelligence as a survival expert, if he will be telling us to drink our own urine. I don't think Master Miller ever does that in any of the Metal Gear games. He kind of dances around the issue. His politics score and formality is very low for Master Miller. Everybody's got to have a dump stat, I guess. He gave himself mostly military stuff. Siege Master, Supply Line Master, Musket Arms, Spy Network, Greater Morale, and Construction Genius. Construction Genius is kind of military themed in this game. Take Aim, One-Eyed Dragon. So he still remembers his old Lord Masamune, who is probably younger than he is at this point. Twin-Headed Dragon and Lure Provocation. He will be age 30 at the beginning of the scenario. That's really all there is to say about that. We have Lita's grandma. Oh, and yeah, and be checking to make sure the portraits are right as well, because there's not enough characters that we're anywhere close to running out of portraits. Lita's grandma is into Total Unity. Cool voice. Justice is an ideal. Very low rebelliousness. Basically, he's in the clan and he's happy to be here. I appreciate that. It means I don't have to worry about saving up gold to give him lavish gifts. Character, I just went through all this. He's got the cool voice.
I swear I will achieve my resolve.
Abilities, he's a more even split than some, just based on not having a lot of hundreds, but he put most of his points into war stuff, and his qualities are also War Musket and Cavalry, Naval Training, Supply Line Master, Ninja Scouts, and Make Greater Morale. He's Encouraged, 6th Demon King, 10-Sided Ambush, and Woodpecker. He will be 23 at the beginning of the battle. I believe he asked for that specifically. I don't know why else I would have bothered to do that. One of the most annoying things is there's no way to just set your location to be the same in every time period. So I just put everybody for 1577 Battle of Takagi River. So if we ever do another scenario of this game, I'll have to remember to fix that. Next, we've got the Bloody Handed. You may remember him from the previous LP. He was one of the guys who was doing a bit of role-playing in the comment section, which was fun. It actually, I have to say, I don't know how much I would have used Bloody Handed without the role-playing, but it certainly didn't hurt. I was more inclined to find chances for him to be in battle when he was actually writing with each video about what the Bloody Handed was up to. He is on a crusade to slay the unjust. He wrote a backstory for himself that you can read about if you want to in the selection, or in the submission video, basically, that he was fighting for some unnamed clan, the Shimazu defeated, but he put up such a stiff resistance he earned their respect and was given a chance to serve. His resolve, let's see, he's got the cool voice, ambition, tier A, slightly above average rebelliousness, so it'll be a little bit difficult to keep him happy, but not, he's not like one of the ones who's really set up with a very high tendency to rebel. He went all war. Very little, he's not terrible at anything because everybody has enough points to distribute. They're not going to be terrible at stuff, but he definitely favored war, musket, greater morale, lightning speed, musket expert, which that's actually an economy one. It means we get more muskets. Infantry mobilization and terrain scouting. Take aim, warning shot. He's definitely going for a gun build. 10-sided ambush and forest assault because, as in the previous LP, he was big into, even if I didn't use ambushes or it wasn't really a big thing in the game, in his descriptions he talked about using ambush tactics in his own like narrative fan fiction, I guess you would call it. And he will be 25, so he's actually a little older than several of the created characters, including the Vulture clan. We've got Minako Arasato, who I think that portrait might actually be an actual female character in game, but no, because it's from the women. One of the EX portraits. A couple of folks took EX portraits that are actually recolorations of in-game historical females, but I went ahead and allowed it. I'll get to, one of them will be problematic, but I'll get to that in a minute. So Minako Arasato, Nome arigato Manako Arisato. Somebody again was putting in their like description of their character's background. I want to say, no, Bloody Handed did. No, it wasn't Manako Arisato. Somebody had a character whose like backstory involved being the daughter of a powerful merchant. Another one made a goofy comic relief character who was traveling Japan and modernizing Japan, and she was thankful to her family and enjoyed everything done, but she needed to make her own. So she moves out of her family and decides to go serve whatever lord I came up with that we were going to be serving. Who was it who had a backstory? Oh, Shaman's character, Serena C. So she's the daughter of a powerful merchant. Anyway, whatever. Let's get back to Manako Arisato. Her resolve is armed unification. I think you might be one of the ones who didn't pick resolve, and I just gave you one. I don't remember. She is not terribly rebellious. Her ideal is serve the clan. She has mostly war abilities, supply line master, lightning speed, militia and mobilization, medical knowledge, siege master, and blade master training. This is kind of unusual. A lot of people went for muskets. Blade master is like, she's going to be good if I haven't bothered to buy any weapons for people. She would be a good officer to use if I'm trying to fight on the cheap. She's got Dishearten, Makawa Soul, 10-sided ambush, and fire arrows, which is a naval tactic. She will be 21 at the Battle of Takagi River. I gave people different starting cities because one of the first things we need to do is march from several cities and try to expand as quickly as possible. So, starting from a couple of different places. And 110 lifespan. Kawanawari Sanada has the independence resolve. His voice is refined. His ideal is rebellious. I think he was the one who didn't choose an ideal. But because he had rebellious and then a number, and rebellious is one of the ideals, I just figured maybe you meant rebellious was your ideal. If you want a different ideal, go ahead and let me know. It's not a big deal to change it. It also doesn't do that much in game other than affect. You know, you get bonuses from working with officers with similar ideals. I don't think rebellious is a common one in the Shimazu group, but I don't really know. Abilities. He gave himself 100 leader and 50 valor, so he's somebody who's going to be a good general, but not... Valor, I think, affects how much damage your troops take and deal. I'm really not super clear on some of these things. Maybe the last thing I'll do in the video is read from a fact about what some of these things do. But he also gave himself high formality. So he's like an honorable old warrior, even though I think his age is going to turn out to be like 21. But he conducts himself like an honorable old warrior. Supply, new to field development, greater morale, imperial connections, legal expert, alliance leader. Legal expert's a good one. It increases our... It's not a mechanic I've played enough of the game to understand, but we need to have a certain amount of built-up aggression as a clan, and I think some of that has to do with like justification for war according to Japanese principles of honor. So certain clans build up aggression faster than others. Some are more defensive, but the legal expert perk, I almost gave that to JG Mystery. I wasn't clear how it worked, if you needed to be a clan leader for that to make a difference. But Kawanawari Sanada's given that to himself. I don't know why Kawanawari Sanada's working for us, but I don't know why he worked for the Date either. I'm thinking maybe he's rebellious because people give him a hard time about the fact that he got married, and he, even though he's the man, took a hyphenated name and he married into the Sanada family. He's got Shared Fate, Kai Tiger, Twin-Headed Dragon, and Leader's Charge. He's got a mix of the qualities over here are a mix of domestic and war and mostly domestic and diplomacy. So it's kind of an interesting mix of talents. He will be 21. He will have 110 lifespan. And he will be hanging out in our lands. Tempest Advent is the one with the most problematic portrait, because that is a recolor of Ginchio Takibana's portrait. And we will be encountering Ginchio Takibana pretty soon, because the Takibana clan are subordinate family to those guys I mentioned, whose name I've already forgotten, who are the other main force on the island. So we will be fighting against Kinchio, and I'd like to recruit her because she's a decent officer. But if these two ever meet face to face, they might get confused because they are identical with slightly different colored outfits. Because this portrait is taken from the EX, which consists, some of which is recolors of famous officer portraits. She's got the dragon rise. She wants to conquer Oshu, so she has Masamune Date's resolve, which is fine because the resolve for the characters who are not the leaders of a clan don't do anything. She has a gentle princess void. She has ideal as talent. She has very low rebelliousness, so she will be a loyal officer throughout. Abilities, she's all war all the time, baby. Siege Master, Lightning Speed, Muskets, Ninja Scouts, Greater Morale, Terrain Scouting, Dragonfly Cutter, Echigo Dragon, Twin-Headed Dragon, Rush Main Camp. So dragons, Rock the Dragon, Dragon Ball Z. Anything's wrong with the stats, let me know. And she wanted to be 20. And I think she was the one who specified a lifespan of 110 or 100 rather than 110. If that's wrong, let me know. I don't expect that we will actually have 110 years, although most of our characters are about 20. So I don't think the game will take 90 years of in-game time. But it's not impossible. Earl King. Du schöne Kind, komm, geh mit mir, gar schön, spiel ich mit dir. So Earl King is here. He's a master schemer. I think I might have given him that one. Or maybe he chose that himself, I don't remember. His refined voice and ambition is his ideal. His rebelliousness is pretty average. He gave himself pretty even stats split all around, but mostly he's going to be an intelligent diplomat type. He didn't give himself bad stats in any area. Supply line master, lightning speed, talented emissary, medical knowledge, educated, and public unity. So it's a good mix of skills. Tactician, inspires disciple, subdiffusion, fire arrows. He will shoot fire arrows, so grass will burn. He wanted to be 16. I guess he found out what the minimum possible age was and selected it, because I didn't realize you could do that. I didn't bother to go rechange my character, so the people I made are all going to be 20, but he will be a little younger than the rest of us. If this thing goes in 80 years, he will be around at the end. And he will be in Shibushi. We got Serena C. I think she's the one who's going to be the daughter of a powerful merchant. So she joined our clan and is fighting for our clan mostly. It's like she's not really... It's weird. She's not going to be like... See, her rebelliousness is high, which makes sense. She's doing what she can to help the Shimazu clan because she thinks it's going to be good for her business. So that's an interesting one. Ideal profit, rebelliousness is pretty high. So we'll have to pay her in terms of treasures and stuff fairly well to keep her happy. Don't know how she's going to work out. She's probably the most likely character to defect, but she does have that umbrella power going. She's a confident princess, I guess. One for all and all for one. If we live for each other, peace will come. I think I may have chosen that. No. I think that was one that the actual contributor... I'm blanking on who contributed what character, but I think that was actually selected. She's got high politics. She didn't give herself much in formality, but she's got good leaders. So she could be... she will be decent when leading troops, and she should be good for building up trade stuff, which is what all of her skills are about. Naval training, third trade zone management... Naval training, naval trading. Oh, she made herself a good... This is an interesting one. She gave herself tactics for leading naval battles, which may be a bigger part of this game than has been my previous game since we're starting on an island. But I've not seen a lot of naval battles in Nobunaga's Ambition. But yeah, mostly she gave herself economic stuff, but she also gave herself some boat stuff. Full speed, Yadagarasu, 5-color brigade, and iron ships. And she will be 29, so she's a little older than the rest of us, most of us anyway, at the Battle of Takagi River. Now we have Guaran Banki. I think I might have given her resolve, I don't remember. She is a calm-voiced young woman whose ideal is mastery. She has mediocre rebelliousness. She gave herself 100 in valor, so she's like basically a physical combat warrior who does not look like one. Decent military stats. She didn't make her military stats so high. She's basically an all-arounder. Lightning speed, greater morale, militia mobilization, infantry mobilization. So those are both things that make it cheaper to recruit troops. Rebellion Queller, and medical knowledge. So Rebellion Queller is also a domestic skill, not a military skill. So she's got a little bit of a mix going. She can use Drummer and Retaliation, Rampage, and Tactical Skirmish. She will be 18 at the time of the Battle of Takagi River. And she has the maximum lifespan. And that takes us down to Hana Takasatsu, who was kind of a comic relief character. You can go read. There's little cute comments made throughout the character input for this one. But she's a very loyal but ambitious. She selected the Fool's World Resolve. I think the idea is that she's this innocent, goofy, but really talented character because ability-wise, she's going to be really good in battle. She gave herself a dump stat. She does not care about diplomacy. And by giving herself a dump stat where she will just be terrible at that and never selected for that, she basically is really good at everything else. Cavalry arm, lightning speed, muskets arm, musket expert, agriculture knowledge, irrigation talent. So a little bit of domestic down here, a little bit of trade here, even though she's not good at trade because she doesn't have good formality. But I don't know if the musket expert is just a passive effect that affects the entire force. Some of these I am not clear on how they're going to work. She goes for Trickster, Ogre Yoshishige, which I guess is, I think Ogre Yoshishige is actually a Shimazu trait. Phantom and Luring Ambush. So those are, and she's going to be 21 at the Battle of the Takagi River. And that's it, folks. That's all the characters. So if your character is not in here, you get to submit in that character. You've got until Wednesday. If you still want to donate, you can, although you'll need to work to get my attention or Reserve's attention to see that you donated late and can still get in. I already read the list of people who I thought were going to donate and who have not donated yet. So I guess the last thing I'll do, let me just read real quick what the stats do according to a FAQ by Saigvan Y. This is the only strategy guide that I could see for this game on GameFAQs. Leadership, a measure of how good a general is. Officers with high leadership or historically successful commanders, and the effects of the stat has on the officers is the following. Raises morale of their unit, increases the power of blockades when sieging castles. As the lord of a castle, the rate that castle's morale decreases is slowed, gives more military policy points during councils, affects how much they can level up leader camps, patrol posts, and bulwarks. Valor, a measure of how skillful in combat an officer, as well as how good at tactical strikes an officer is. Officers with high valor were not only great warriors, but great attackers of enemies as well. The characters with high valor are guys who can inspire their troops to fight the demons and demolish the formations of their opponents. Valor has the following effects. Increases attack of their unit during battle. Increases the damage of storm when sieging castles. Increases counter damage. And Stormer receives when the lord of the besieged castle. Affects how much they can level up combat camps and drill grounds. Intelligence, a measure of the IQ, wisdom, and knowledge of an officer, as well as how capable they are of organizing units. Officers with high intelligence were historically geniuses when skilled in organizing troops and plotting, as well as simply smart in general. Yeah, some of the description here is a little I think I should be skipping ahead to what it actually does. Increases the defense of the unit during battle. So really, if you just want high attack is valor, high defense is intelligence, leadership is high morale. That's the simplest in combat description. So intelligence gives you defense, increases the castle's resistance to storm, gives more rhetoric policy points, and affects how much they can level up tactics camps, fortresses, and ninja villages. Politics, a measure of how technically intelligent and savvy an officer is. Let me just skip past this. Gives more policy points to agriculture and commercial areas, affects how much they can level up political camps, forges, ranches, trading towns, fishing towns, and reservoirs. Formality, how much goodwill is raised between clans when sent on goodwill missions, affects how much they can level diplomat camps, tea towns, and post towns. It might seem like pull and 4 are secondary stats, but since developing consistently plays a massive role, blah blah blah. Leader, vow, and intelligence are naturally most useful in waging war. So, there you go. So, There's about 30. Yeah, there's about 30 something officers in game, normal officers, who have between 90 and 100 in each area of stat. And very few officers with stats below. Like 0 through 9, there is one officer with only 8 valor. No officers with less than 9 leadership, intelligence, pull, or 4. Which means we will have a created officer who is actually breaking the mold by being worse at formality than any in-game officer. So that'll be interesting and fun. Anyway, guys, so we're showing 18 active officers. I've also got 4 officers, including William of Neo fame, that we're not allowed to do anything with. So basically, right now we got 14 created officers joining the ranks of the Shimazu. Ald, I think it's going to submit a character. I've poked at Grimmeth and Lethal. They may or may not be involved in this one. It's not a huge deal either way. But yeah, we're looking at probably having 15, maybe with a few more people who meant to submit a character and haven't done so yet. We're probably not going to have more than 20 officers. That's fine, because I think having a huge number of created officers just makes the game a little bit too easy. At least it has done in past games. But since I have not played this game at all, I am not too worried about making it too easy for myself on the first run, because I'm not playing as a clan that realistically ever had a shot at conquering Japan. I impressed myself with how well that Datai run went, but that was with quite a few created officers helping me out. So we'll see if we can do the same thing, having a bunch of created officers help the Shimazu overcome history and make the surpass history, Mark Henry style. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I meant to say up front, no gameplay, but I'll put it in the description. If you want to comment that there was no gameplay in this video, do yourself a favor next time. Read the fucking description and the titles of the videos before you complain that there's no gameplay. And I'll catch you guys next time. Respond to this video, or probably better yet, the previous original character submission video, to submit your characters if you still want to do so. You've got until sometime, I don't know, call it midnight Eastern time on Wednesday the 9th. Thursday I'll be busily making characters and maybe trying to get a little bit in the can. So then on Friday I have the option of having an adult beverage and doing something less thought-provoking than trying to record Nobunaga's Ambition for weekend release. Can't promise that it'll be ready on the 12th and 13th. If not, I might find something else to put up on the 12th and 13th, and Nobunaga's Ambition might be a weekday kind of series. Don't really know, but we'll find out. See you guys next time.